Hey everyone, it's Bonnie Hunter at the Quiltville Post Office. I've been asked to just quickly show how I have changed how I make masks from a couple of different designs that have come in. I have man children, and the small masks that I've had tried previously just didn't fit their faces. So I enlarged that a little bit and combined a couple different things from a couple other patterns. So what we're going to start with is tightly woven quilter's cotton. Okay, pre-washed, ironed, and we're going to cut. I've got this is like a half yard cut or more. So got this folded selvage to selvage and then up again to the fold, and I'm just cutting a 9-inch section here. Turn my ruler the right way. Got a new camera set up, so it's all new to me, and I will be doing this in several short videos and then compiling them all together and hoping that it works. Okay, so this is 9-inch cut. Okay, and we're going to cut enough for 2 masks from this. So I'm going to take this fold, open it up. The selvages are at my right, and I'm going to trim those selvages off. Okay, save them for whatever you like selvages to be saved for. And I'm using a square ruler because it was on hand. My other ruler is back at the cabin. Okay, so we're taking those selvages off. And then this is one of those times where I am going to use the lines on my mat because we're making masks, we're not doing patchwork. And I need 2 rectangles that are 9-inch by 18. So I'm going to plop my ruler down here where it says 18. And we're going to get the little side casing pieces from this part that I have left over. So while you've got your ruler here, I want you to slide it over to 1 3/4 inches. Okay, 1 inch. Whoops, that's 1.5 inches. I want the 1 3/4 inches, right like this. Okay, and that cut through 2 layers is going to give you the side casings for 2 masks. This little guy, trim him to 2.5 inches and put him in your scrap user system. And while you've got the ruler there, you may as well just do that. So we'll do that. We'll use him somewhere else. So the only thing I'm pitching is this little tiny piece that's too small for a string, but I've got a 2.5-inch piece that can go into my scrap user system. Okay, these 2 little pieces that you cut at 1 3/4 inches, we're going to now cut that in half. So at 4.5 inches, and I have to be sure I'm using the correct side of this ruler, not the full inch size. I'm going to cut 4.5 inches. So these are the pieces that we're going to use for 2 masks. You've got 2 rectangles, 9 inches by 18, and 4 rectangles, 1 3/4 inches by 4.5. I'm going to meet you at the sewing machine to do the rest of this demo. So that's the end of segment 1. Going to push stop. Okay, so we're back again. This time I'm recording from the cabin studio because I forgot that we needed the T-shirt ties to be able to do the halter style mask long enough. Those are 55 inches and they are best cut from a t-shirt that has no side seams. And this is try number 2. The first time I had my overhead light on and it was really glary. So we're doing it with the light off now. The t-shirt, no side seams, so that when you cut the pieces, they are one complete loop with no seams anywhere. And this will make it really easy for you to get that 55 inches that you need for the halter style top, okay? So what you're going to do is cut off the hem at the bottom, and then just with your rotary ruler, and I grabbed this long one because 12.5 inches wasn't long enough, you are just going to cut through all layers. I've got this shirt folded in half. Some 1 inch strips, as many as you want. Now when you get up to the place where the logo is on the shirt, that will not work. Anything that has a logo, like painted texture, plasticky texture, the fabric just won't curl. But look at this, this is just magic. So here is your 1 loop with no seams in it, and if you start pulling, just like a taffy pull, you can pull that all the way out, use both arms, get some exercise in, do some resistance band training. And when you are done and it doesn't stretch anymore, you've got this nice soft cord in one long length, okay? Now what you're going to do for the halter style is just cut that open anywhere And then my hands are going to go off camera, I believe, just for a minute while I measure this to be 55 inches. So I'm going to take it out here to 30 and then come back and do a 25. And there's our 55 inches. At this point, I like to take the ends and just do an overhand knot, just so that you can get those ends secure, and then it'll be ready to insert into your mask all in one piece. Okay, now what do you do with these guys, the short pieces? You could take 2 of these and place them on the side and have a 4-tie mask, so one on one side and one on the other. Or you can cut them the length, which is what I will do here, that I like to use, of 17 inches. So here's a 17-inch one. And this would be for the 4-tie mask. So there's another one, almost 17 right there. Let's see, get another little stretch. 17. And thank you for dealing with this video. I know it's not a professional video. We are fly by night here, so I'm looking for another short piece to make 2 more ties from. Let's do that. So there's another 17 right there. I really like using the t-shirt cord. It is soft and it doesn't make your neck or your ears raw. Okay, so that's it for us with the cord cutting section. I'm going to stop the camera and move you over to the sewing machine so that we can put these masks together. Hang tight, everybody. Okay, so I am at the machine, and with this setup, I can't see what's on the camera. So if anything is off camera, I apologize. We'll try to get through this as quickly as we can. What you're going to do is take your 2 rectangles and just quickly run a folded hem on both short sides. So I folded over about 1/4 of an inch, rolled it again, and top stitched. I didn't feel like you needed to see me do that. It was very, very easy. Now what you're going to do is take that fold, right sides together, and then just grab a small ruler, whatever you have handy, and we're going to measure 1.5 inches from each corner in, and you're going to place a pin. So there's 1 pin goes here. Okay, and you're just marking a place where your back stitching is going to be. We're going to stitch a seam, and that's where you're going to back tack. So I'm going to measure 1.5 inches. I wish I had grabbed a smaller ruler. My iron is in the way. 1.5 inches. Okay. And we're going to sew. We're just going to sew just outside of that rolled hem. Okay, so we're going to start here at the edge. And you can back tack at the edge if you wish. And then just sew to the pin and stop and back stitch a little bit, and then you can just trail your threads over to the next place. Okay, start with a little bit of a back stitch and sew to the end and back stitch. Okay, and if you have a leader ender project going on, this is where you will run it through. But I'm just going to bring this out here and pray that I didn't break the needle thread, which I did. Nope, I didn't. I did good, good, good. Okay, so remove your pins, and then you're going to do some simple pressing. We're going to unroll this little tube that we've just made. Place this somewhere towards the center, and you just want to press those 2 seams open. Okay, there is that gape in the middle, but just press it open. Now, some tutorials will have you stitch really close to this edge to top stitch that down. I don't find it's necessary, so I'm not going to do it. You can do it if you want, but I am going to turn this right side out, and then I'm going to adjust where that seam allowance is underneath to be the top fold of my mask, and then when I top stitch here, it will catch that seam in that fold, so that works really well. And I'm going to give this a little bit of a press. This is the back side of your mask because that's where your filter pocket's going to be. Okay, all right. And then, how are you guys at freewheeling? Because I found pinning and measuring and pinning and measuring and pinning and measuring for those pleats was a pain in the butt. So I just kind of freewheel it. It's not couture sewing. You just want 3 pleats on the sides, and you'll get it. The more you do it, you'll get it. So my first pleat ends where that filter pocket begins on the bottom side. I don't know if you can see that because, again, I don't have any kind of view as to what this camera is catching. But I'm just going to pin that. I do pin one side and then immediately pin the opposite side. And you're trying to keep things even as you go. Okay, and then you're going to do another fold. So there's your second fold. And you're going to pin. You've got raw edges out here. And those will be encased in a casing we'll add next. And then you're going to do one more fold. Just work it there until you feel like, yeah, that looks about right. They don't even have to be symmetrical side by side, because once it's on your face, nobody's going to be measuring your pleats, okay? I want this one to come a little bit more. There we go. All right, so there's my 3 pleats. Okay. And then this, we are going to top stitch. Okay, I poked myself, I'm bleeding. Great. So we're just gonna do just a little bit less than a 1/4 inch top stitch. Okay, and I am going to follow this one with the second one that I've got ready to pleat. So let's pleat that again. I'm going to just fold it. One fold here, the bottom fold comes up to right where that filter pocket is. After you've done it a few times, it's really, really not difficult. And I find it easier than trying to pin distances and then match pin to pins and folding this over. So you can just eyeball this. It's not that hard. It's only fabric and you're helping somebody out. Okay, so one more here. I'm on my 3rd one. I'll get you pinch pleat right there. And it looks pretty dang even. You know, might not be perfect, but you can work with it. I've seen some really fun ones with some amazing fabric combinations. And if we have to do this, let's do it and have some fun. So here's the second one, just pleated by hand, by eyeball. You've got 3 pleats there, and we're going to just run this under the needle. And we're going to do the other side, so I'm going to cut the second one off, or the first one, and then stitch down the back side. Okay, and pull these. Now, we're ready for the casings on the side. Oh shoot, I was pulling that pleat out and I hadn't even done the okay guys, I hadn't sewn the second side yet on this one, so we're just going to put it back together. All right, jumping ahead of myself here. Let's get a little bit more fabric there. Okay. I know some of you have gotten to where you can do these in your sleep, and I commend you for all that you are doing. Okay, this one's sewn on both sides. We'll pull the pins. Now, what we're going to do here with our rectangles, remember we have 4 little rectangles that are 1 3/4 by 4 1/2. You are going to turn down on one end only, 1/4 inch, and press it. Just one end. Okay. And that's not really, it's straight, but we'll fix it. Okay. Why only one end? Because we don't need to measure what this distance is, and you might end up with a slightly different distance on both sides. So now I'm going to put the folded end right here on this side, and we're going to sew and 1/4 inch seam, back stitch, and then when I get close to the end here, I'm going to fold up that second part till it's even with the bottom of the mask. Okay. And then we're going to do this on the second mask. If you have 2 masks going at one time, one can be the leader ender for the other. There's another pin. So here's my pressed and folded side right here. Back stitch. So part way and then fold up that bottom end until you're even with the bottom of the mask. Back stitch. Okay, and you can give this a good press and then press it outward away from the pleats and repeat for the opposite side. So here is my folded over end first, even with the bottom of the mask, back stitch. You can really get a good little assembly line going. And then fold this over till it's at the even with the bottom of the mask. Back stitch. And then this one comes off. Let's give that a press. Press the folds down and then fold it outward so you can see what this looks like right here. We will be folding this and then placing your cord either across here if you're doing the halter one, or when we sew the 4-tie one, we'll do that as we top stitch as well. So that will encase that there. All right, so let's do one more. Make sure I'm putting it on the right side. I explained to somebody this morning that doing these little side plackets was kind of like doing machine binding. And I like folding up this second bit last so I know right where to go. Okay, here's the second one. We're going to press the pleats first, I guess, and then press this out. Okay, so this is where your halter is going to come in. So you're going to grab your halter. Here's your halter piece. I'm trying to be where everything can be seen here. Okay, good. And we are just going to fold that in there. Let's do this first. Let's fold this in half first. And then this is going to come over this way. So once you've got this pressed here, stick the cord in there. And then you can pin it just to make sure that it stays. Now when you're sewing, you're going to top stitch, but you don't want to catch the cord in your top stitching, okay? So try to fold that over enough. Okay, and this is the back side of the mask. We're going to do this from the front. Let me give that a little bit less. I'm just going to take it right to the stitching. Okay, and I'll pull these pins as I go. It's a little bit fussy. Things get kind of thick. But I love the halter version. Okay, so I am going to stitch really close to that fold there. Do it from the side. Just catching the edge of the fabric and not the cord. These casings are narrow enough that it would be a really big pain to try to feed the cord through with a safety pin. So just stay away from the cord. Keep the cord close up against the fold and then back stitch. Okay, there's that side. And here's this one. What are you going to do if you have a the 4 ties? We're going to demonstrate the 4 ties on this one too. So while I'm right here, I'm going to fold this over. And I press that. Okay, we're going to set this aside while we finish one at a time since they're 2 different techniques. Okay, so here's this casing. Can I pull the cord? Yeah, I can pull the cord. Make sure that you didn't stitch through the cord at this point. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So let's press this in half, where raw edge meets raw edge, and then lay this in place, fold it over, and then give yourself a couple of pins to hold that over the fold. Okay, and let's top stitch. Okay, we're staying away from the cord. Now, while I've got this in place here, I'm going to put my needle down and pivot and sew across the top of the mask to stay stitched that. And I'm going to stop right at that casing because you don't want to stitch through the cord. Okay. All right. Then let's pull pins. And we need one more row of top stitching. You can snip any threads as you go. I've been kind of lazy about that, trying to get this done here. But I'm going to top stitch again at the very top, just from casing to casing. You don't want to sew into that cord. Okay. And you just don't want to sew in the cord, and I'm still in backup mode. Oh, you guys. Did I even catch the cord? I don't think I did. Let's pull on that cord and see if it can still go. Oh yeah, it still goes. Reminder to yourself, take your machine out of backup mode if you're on a vintage machine. I'm so not used to using reverse stitching. When you do patchwork, we don't reverse stitch a lot. Okay. We're just on the edge here. Stop at the casing. Okay, so here's this one. Let's remove this. Okay, so stand up here and show you. This loop will go behind your neck. Okay, here is the filter pocket. I've got it, the whole thing upside down. Okay, that's all right. So on this one, the filter pocket is going to be at the chin. Not a problem. Yes, it is. We're going to reverse this. Pause. Well, if you can't keep things real, what good is this anyway? So all I had to do on the one that I had the loop on the wrong end of the mask was undo one side so that I could pull the cord and get the loop at the bottom so that this filter part is at the top towards the face. So we want it to be this way. And I had it the other way. So we're bringing it around the opposite direction. This is the top of the mask that goes towards your face. Okay. So to fix this, we're going to, once again, roll this over, pin it, and top stitch, not catching the cord so that the cord can be pulled through the casing. It's such a tight little casing, you don't want to try to deal with a safety pin going up through there. Okay, so we are going to, got some remainders of threads. It's humbling, I tell you. Making sure that you're not sewing in reverse when you want to go forward. And doing things on camera. If anybody can screw up on camera, I can. Alrighty, so now I think we are ready for our mask here. Let's trim all these loose little threads. And there we are. Okay, so here is the inside of your mask. Okay, this is the inside. Here's the filter pocket. And they're using anything from coffee filters to non-woven interfacing to blue non-woven shop towels to even those reusable grocery bags that are non-woven. Wash them up, cut them into a rectangle, and just stick it into this pocket. This loop goes around the back of your neck. It's fully adjustable for multiple sizes so that you can get the right fit. And this way you only have one knot at the back of your head. So this is the halter version of the mask. Let's do the 4-tie version and finish up this video, okay? So on our second one, we've gotten to this part. We've got our casing sewn on. We are ready to add the 4 ties. I just happen to have the 4 ties right here. These are cut to 17 inches, and the assembly is a little bit different than doing the halter method. We've got our casings the same way, but I am going to fold over the casing and just insert about 3/4 of an inch, one of the ties, and I'm going to start with a back stitch. And I'm going to stitch all the way across the top of the mask, close to the edge of the mask. And then when I get here to this part, I'm going to prepare the next one. Grab my second tie, and I'm going to place it in the fold of that casing. Fold it on up where I want it to be. Sew over it and back stitch a couple times. Okay, so that's one side. So you're adding these casings, and you're folding over the casings and adding the ties, and you're top stitching at the same time. And then we will finish up by doing the top stitching on the casings themselves. Okay, so we're just going to tuck that into the corner. Go all the way across. And then get your number 4 tie ready. Tuck it into that fold. Okay, and now while I'm here, let me back up just a little bit. Maybe a couple more stitches back up. Okay. Just while I'm right here, I can stitch down this one casing with the same seam. Let me remove these threads. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch close to the edge of the casing. Okay. And then there's only one more place that needs to be top stitched on the other side. I sure miss my leaders and enders. We spend forever trimming all the extra thread tails, which is one thing I don't like about regular sewing. At least patchwork I can do continuously. And we have our second mask. It looks just like this, with 4 ties instead of 1 with a loop. And you've got your filter pocket here in the back side to add your filter in. And it'll form fit to your face. Make some for your friends, your family, those you care about, those people who help you, from delivery people to postal people to grocery store workers to folks that you see along the way. And let's beat this thing, okay? I know this was a very amateur video, but this is what I've decided to make myself. And I hope that you are well, be well, stay home, stay inside. Catch you later. Bye-bye, everybody.